Hey, I'm Kim.
And I'm Pancho, and you're listening to Now That You See It, a show that will ruin you for boring conversations forever.
It's about the invisible stuff that shapes how we think and connect, those, oh, wait, what? Moments that change how you perceive the world around you.
Once you see it, you can't unsee it.
Ah,
Hey,
hey, Wizard of Oz, the guy who pushes the buttons.
I pushed the
Uh,
button for the episode to start recording.
uh, oh, good to see you, Pancho.
You too. You too. Yeah.
We have a fun and brain breaker kind of topic today, which I'm really excited about because we have one topic, two, as we do, two different takes on it that we're going to explore today. So you
Yeah.
want to start off?
Yeah, sure. I can introduce it. It's the idea of deserving. And when somebody says, I deserve, and whatever comes after that. I deserve to get to that outcome, whatever that outcome might be. I deserve the prize. That sometimes it feels gross. Sometimes it feels like they're using the concept of deserving in a way that doesn't feel good. We've brought it up multiple times. You said, yeah, sometimes when you say I deserve, like that's a red flag that goes up. And we finally took the time to get clear on why that can be a problematic phrase for each of us. And it's something that we can't unsee as we go about our lives. We hear people say, I deserve blank, and immediately it kind of puts us in a state of, thinking differently about what they're about to say next.
Yeah, I totally get the ick. And like, I've had to do a lot, like a lot of work, a lot of quite literal EMDR level work on this one because it runs really deep. And I feel like I've come to a me and I deserve get along a lot better now than we ever have. And my life has gotten better because I figured out my relationship to it. But, and
Yeah.
yeah, and it led to all kinds of other problems because it was a cringe fest. But before I get into mine, what is your thing you can't unsee?
Yeah. I actually wanted, what's EMDR? You said you've had to do a lot of EMDR work. I don't even know what EMDR
Yeah,
work is.
Um, eye movement rapid desensitization,
Oh, yeah.
like trauma therapy. So bilateral stimulation, however you want to do it, follow the ball, da, da, da. Because my brain learned a survival skill around deserve, like no, reject, don't do that, because it causes needs, it causes you to take up space, it causes you to, be a little bit showboaty or whatever my brain was thinking, it did. And so it shut down all these opportunities for me to like have needs, take ownership of, step
Uh,
into like power, as I say, and whatever, all kinds of stuff. Um, but because it was so early that that developed, it like you can't really talk it out. It's like reprogramming your brain. And it took
yeah.
a while. It took a while until I was like, yeah, I do deserve some things. They just weren't what I thought they were at all. And now that I have figured out what I do deserve and how to organize my life around that, things got a lot better. And now it is really something that I can't unsee because it's not just like, oh, I figured out what I deserve, how to get it, it's made my life better. It's I figured out what isn't part of the deserving package that was
Mm,
causing me to have the ick and reject it. And just now I understand, like, oh, okay, what this is and how to hold that, how to relate to it so I don't get so like up in arms about it. But I can also say it isn't for me. What I deserve is basically, until I cut to my own chase, it's being able to organize my life around a sense of like, I want to live in peace. How am I going to do that? I deserve to be able to orchestrate that for myself, to pursue, as the self determination theory tells us, autonomy, belonging, and competence. And like, I get to make choices towards that. I don't deserve necessarily to have those outcomes. Like it's not my inalienable right necessarily. And like we can talk all about that, but um, it is something that I deserve to be able to pursue. And that was the click that did it for me. I deserve to be able to pursue these things. I'm not guaranteed them, but I deserve to be able to work towards them and
Yeah.
orchestrate my life how I want.
Yeah.
Within the context of like kindness and interdependence, and I'm part of like a whole system and da da. But yeah, that's my I can't unsee it. What is your you can't unsee it?
It, I think what I've come to see aligns with what you're saying to some degree. I realize that people deserve things that they've earned. That makes sense, right? If you've put in a certain amount of work, of preparation, if you've developed a certain skill set, if you've made the right decisions consistently, then the outcomes that come from that are things that you deserve. So, right now, the Winter Olympics are going on. That's a great example. If somebody gets a gold medal, that's a system where you kind of only get the gold medal if you deserve it. You've put in the work, you've built the skills, you've made the hard life choices, and it's led you to stand on that podium. That makes sense. Um, and a related way of thinking about deserving that also makes sense is if you are a certain kind of person and that leads to certain outcomes in your life down the line, and those outcomes are they match the kind of person that you are, that makes sense. If you're a kind hearted, generous individual who is gregarious and you end up with a strong community and, good friends and a social support structure, it makes sense that that's what you deserve. It's the kind of person that you set yourself up to be. And if you are a Hitler and you get the outcome that Hitler got, that kind of makes sense too. Like all of the actions that you took led to the outcome Hitler had. So that's one way, is just kind of like the actions that you take, the preparation that you put in place, the skills that you build lead to an outcome, and you deserve that outcome. A second kind of deserving, or another way that we use the word deserve, and I think it relates to what you're saying. I deserve to be able to pursue certain things in my life. Is what I wrote down as kind of inherent worth deserving. So, in the human condition, as a human being, you have certain things that you deserve. I deserve to feel safe. I deserve to be treated with dignity. I deserve respect. I deserve to feel love and belonging. So, what I'm hearing you say is, I deserve to also have the option to self actualize. I deserve to pursue certain ends in
Pursue.
my life.
Yeah.
And at least what I heard you say, maybe I'm putting words in your mouth, but that felt like, as a human being, part of what I deserve is the option to self actualize. So that's another one, right? Is just kind of the inherent worth of being a human being and the things that one deserves because of that. It has nothing to do with the actions you've taken or with the effort you've put in. It's just because you are a person, these are the things you deserve. And then, so those are the two that feel like they are practical. And if you were to believe them, and they would be healthy and useful ways of thinking about deserving. I'm not so sure. I kind of side with Yuval Noah Harari. He talks about how human rights are actually not something that exists in the world. They're a social convention. They're something we've agreed to. And so all of the things that fall under the inherent worth deserving category of being human, like I deserve love and belonging, I deserve respect, I deserve safety, all of those feel more to me like socially agreed upon beliefs
Mhm.
that help us operate as a society, but I don't think they're real. I think they're just kind of like the agreement we've all bought into. And in this case, it's an agreement that we've all bought into that seems to be helpful and useful. Um, and then we've got deserving in the sense of somebody saying, I deserve this cupcake. It's Friday afternoon. I've had a long week. I deserve this cupcake. And that's neither of those. What that sounds like to me is I have either a need or a desire, and I want to validate that desire, but I feel guilty about it. To some degree, I carry guilt or shame about this desire, but I'm going to sidestep that guilt or shame with the word deserve. And then I'm going to give myself the cupcake. So um, that's the one where it feels like there could be a more useful and healthy way of engaging with one's needs or desires by doing the work to understand why you carry guilt or shame about it and not kind of like deluding yourself or emotionally bypassing your way into doing what you want instead of just recognizing, hey, if I want something, I have the agency
Yeah.
to go fulfill that want.
I
So
deserve to
that
eat the
one,
cupcake because I want
yeah,
to.
yeah, like I bought a
That's
cupcake,
gonna self-actualize me.
right?
You deserve to
But
be able to do it. Eat the effing cupcake.
right. I don't know. I don't know that you deserve it or not, but like if you want a
You
cupcake,
deserve to choose to do it. Yeah.
you can eat the cupcake and you don't have to do these mental
Yeah.
gymnastics about whether
Yeah.
you get
Yeah.
the cupcake or not and why it's justifiable or why you need to validate the fact that, just like have a cupcake. But to get there for some people, like there are a lot of people out there who have a hard time being the one who needs something. There are people out there who derive their self-worth from being the one who meets other people's needs. But when it comes to their own needs, they don't know how to manage that well. And instead of working on that, because that takes a lot of courage and it takes stepping into discomfort, they just sidestep it every time. Um, so I think that that's one dynamic, the validation of a need or a desire that comes loaded with shame or guilt. And then the second kind of deserving that doesn't feel good is deserving that's actually it's entitlement masked as deserving. Basically saying I am owed something and I'm not getting it, but I deserve it. And so it's kind of this dynamic of arguing with the reality of how your life has turned out. So those are after taking some time to think about it, those are the four types of deserving I could think of. And I also came to think
Yeah.
about whether the fact that like the idea of deserving is even from a more philosophical, metaphysical perspective, is deserving even a thing that's real, or is it just a human convention?
Yeah. You know, let's put a pin in this because we're gonna at some
Yeah,
point we're gonna come around
totally.
to when is this not true? Like push the boundaries of this, and I want to talk about
Yeah.
children.
Oof. Okay.
What
Awesome.
does this change when we talk about people who don't have autonomy and are wholly dependent on other beings?
Mm. Yeah.
I'll let that marinate in the background.
Awesome.
um, wh- so I want to hear more about like I know that we are sort of untangling this for ourselves right now, but I have a feeling that both of us have maybe lived our lives with these ideas in the background, even if they've been unarticulated. How has this affected how you move through the world?
I often don't think about the first two frameworks of deserving. The concept of if I've put in the effort, the time, the dedication, and I get the outcome I wanted, then I deserve that outcome. And I think I might even be better served by leaning into that more in my life. I think that that is a way of thinking that leads to achievement. Inherent worth, like I said, I don't know that I don't disagree with the value and the usefulness of thinking that we deserve love or that we deserve the opportunity to look for self-actualization in our lives. But I don't think of that as a deserving kind of a thing either. I just kind of think of it as like, well, I am fortunate and lucky in my life to be able to feel safe and to self-actualize and to lean into the things that leave me feeling good. So I understand the value of aspiring to those ideals, of thinking about human rights as something that we all deserve. But my MO is the facts would prove out that human rights are a social convention and that we don't all get to have our human rights met if we were to say that everyone has a list of human rights. Um, so that's how those show up in my life. And it's good to call them out and to recognize that that's my relationship with what I would say are the two more productive or useful definitions of deserving. Then there are the two other ones. I am owed something, I am entitled to something. I think in my early 20s, I struggled with this a lot. Like, I got great grades in school. I worked really fucking hard coming out of school. I was doing 60-hour work weeks, kind of like essentially wasting away in my early 20s helping other people build startups as the young, recently graduated 20-something-year-old who wasn't reaping the rewards of making that business successful. And I struggled a lot with the dynamic of like, well, if I'm putting all this work, why am I not getting the rewards that would be commensurate of this work, and feeling like I was owed more than I was getting from a couple of different jobs. So that's something that I can't unsee now, that like, well, you could work really, really, really hard and it still doesn't guarantee that you're going to get out ahead.
I feel like there is enormous emotional freedom on the other side of the transaction of, I did this, so I get that. When we have transactional relationships with effort and outcome, that like, I deserve this because I did that. I have a deep sense that this robs us of actual, what it feels like to actually like unconditionally love and be unconditionally loved in the greatest sense. Like I will go there. We know we're talking about work and a paycheck, but it extends out to so much more than work and a paycheck. So like at home, for instance, sometimes one of my kids will be like, I did this, you owe me that. And I was like, no, no. In our house, we unload the dishwasher just because we live in this house.
Yeah.
I don't owe you anything for that. And various other things. But if we, I think a lot of people struggle with complex relationships to I deserve, in the sense of I deserve this. I worked hard. I have deserves cupcake. I remember this like Werther's commercial when I was a kid, like a cartoon woman. She's driving in traffic and it's like, and, like she's coming home at the end of the day. And all of a sudden this like Werther's candy swoops in and like floats away. And like the
Yeah.
message was, you deserve a Werther's, like you deserve a break. And it was one of the earliest memories I have of being like, fuck that shit. No, like
Yeah.
you will not manipulate me. I don't need to sit in traffic to deserve a nice moment. I can, I just get that. I just get that. And now I associate I deserve with manipulation.
Mm.
And, but at the same time, how many people, like myself included, I am my own client, but how many people have I known, have I worked with, have I been, who only rest when they think they've earned it, when they deserve it. And so we rob ourselves of the opportunity to say, I don't have to work to earn rest, to feel like I deserve it. Like there's no barrier between me and a guilt free rest because I worked my ass off for 5 freaking free minutes. No, you you deserve to choose if you want to rest at any point because you need it in order to live the best life you need without guilt. And you get to you deserve to organize how you do that and how you feel about it and work through the feelings of that. But you don't have to work to earn it. Like that transaction just robs us of connection
Yeah.
to ourselves and connection to other people in a way that is like, if, i- if I loved you this way, you'll love me back. if I perform this way, you'll do things for me because I deserve it. And this is like, I talk to a lot of default parents who are like, I do all these things. I run the house. I do the emotional labor. I do all the, blah, blah, blah. I deserve blah. And then we like doom scroll because we like have not taken care of ourselves during the day, or we are snappy at somebody because we're like, I deserve you to grovel at me because I've done all these things. Where are my grovelers? Why don't I have them here? Because I deserve that. And it's these are the like dark inner shadow feelings we feel sometimes, but it's also just like the complicated relationship with there may be that resentment sitting alongside the I don't deserve to ask for help, identify my needs, because if I do, I will be disappointed. Somebody will disappoint me. And so I won't engage with that. Or if I do identify my needs, if I do say, I deserve to identify my needs, then what happens? Then we are told we're selfish, we're taking up too much space, we are nagging, we are this, blah, blah, blah. And in reality, we're just stating what is true and what we deserve to be able to say. So this is my opinion, which is this is what I need. And this is what I'll do to be able to get there in the context of healthy interdependence and like kindness and a system. But when my observation is that when we don't have a healthy relationship to maybe the word isn't deserve, maybe it's just this is my culturally informed accepted belief of there is one ideally would want an unproblematic relationship to autonomy, belonging, and connection. And competence. So pursuing those things so that you're able to live the life you're meant to live. And if we have a fucked up relationship with that, what ends up happening is that we sort of live small and we live bitter and we don't live the life we're meant to live.
Yeah, and this is the kind of deserving that it's the fourth kind of deserving that stands out to me the most as well in my life. When I hear somebody say, I've had a long work week, I've been doing for other people all week long, I've been the default parent, I deserve to blank. There's a part of me that goes, I don't know that I can trust you with some aspect of like intimacy, because what I'm hearing you do is you're feeling some sort of guilt or shame about a need, like you said. And to meet that need for yourself, you have to tell yourself the story that you deserve to have that need met. And if you have that kind of relationship with yourself, then how are you going to be in relationship with me when I have needs that I would like you to meet and you have needs that you'd like me to meet on your behalf?
Mm-hmm.
If you can't just like have needs and ask for them to be met or meet them for yourself without feeling guilty or shameful about it, then I don't know that I want to engage with you on an intimate level. There's then, and that's, you mentioned, it gives you the ick. That's the ick for me, is I feel like that's somebody that I can't trust with some important aspect of understanding themselves and understanding me.
Oh, that's a good one. Yeah. It tells you a lot more about their relationship to their own self and what that's going to be like to have any sort of engagement with them, connection, platonic, romantic, or otherwise. Because you got to trust that this person can own their own needs and know how to pursue them so that it doesn't come out sideways projected onto you.
Yeah.
Oh,
So
yeah, yeah,
that
it's a
so
good
that
one.
they're not like, I've been doing all these things for you. Why are you not here groveling?
Hmm.
I don't want to engage with that kind of a dynamic. um,
No.
so of all of the ways where I see I deserve in a new way and I can't unsee it, it's that one.
Yeah. You know what I was just thinking? And maybe this is like the pivot to when is this not true or how does this like, when does it get fuzzy? You're absolutely right that this isn't a like, this isn't gravity. this isn't something we can like scientifically prove that we deserve things. It is culturally constructed. It is created. And I can just think in my head now of a couple examples of like, and it's not universally true across cultures. Good, kind, reasonable people can wholly disagree on, but do you have the right to pursue your own autonomous, thriving life? But more collectivist cultures would say, absolutely not. No,
Totally. Yeah.
no. You have, and I don't even want to put the words in the mouth of cultures that I'm not necessarily part of, but I would think that like the words I'm using are really individualistic culture centered of like
Mm.
people in Finland might agree with me, but not necessarily folks in China, Latin America, Japan. This is Southeast Asia where pursuing the life you're meant to live is everyone succeeds with you. Like you are with, we're all growing together. There is not one need that is higher than the other. And if your needs conflict with the groups, like, no, you don't get to do that. And so like I'll pause because I'm like gonna get over my skis pretty quickly about talking outside of like what I know directly, but I can already feel like, oh yeah, this is pretty culturally specific kind of deserving definition that I'm carrying.
Yeah. That I mean, I was gonna ask you about that, right? Like you mentioned that you don't deserve outcomes, but you deserve to have the choice to, you don't deserve rest, but you deserve to choose to rest if you so wish, is one thing I heard you say. And I mean, fuck it, I'll get out over my skis on this one because it's
Let's do it.
I'm okay with that. Um, I'm thinking about taking it even a step beyond what you just shared, where you have collectivist cultures, thinking about like the big Mexican or the big Greek family where everybody kind of goes as a unit. Or we've talked about like your Hungarian family. Like we stick together, we do things for one another, we all make sure that everybody is okay. And people don't just like go out and off and do their own thing. In the US, absolutely. It's so common for people to live more than 3 hours away from their parents and to see their parents twice a year. And in another culture, that would be absolutely unacceptable. And so there's that. But you go one step further, we carry the belief that we are entitled to, that we have the right to pursue love and a significant other relationship from a place of self determination, from a place of I get to go and find somebody who is a really good match for me and fall in love with them. And then we choose each other and then we do life together. And there are cultures out there where somebody else chooses that for you.
Mm,
And if you were to choose that for yourself, that would be unacceptable.
yes, totally.
And those people often end up happy in their lives. Somebody else
Yeah.
chose, like because again, it's a social construct of these are the beliefs that we'll hold. And in our society, these beliefs are useful in some way.
Mhm.
And for somebody like me, having somebody else, having your parents tell you who you're going to marry sounds atrocious. But but there are people who just live in that reality and it's just how things are going to go and they're okay with it. They would actually be very uncomfortable making that choice for themselves.
I had a client I was coaching who was in her mid-30s and lived with her parents, with her family. She's Filipino. And I remember in the back of my mind going, and she was like, I'm really anxious. I had like tough, tough childhood. I'm like really having a hard time, really like owning that I deserve to pursue something. In the back of my mind, I was like, you should probably get out of your family's house because that's where the trauma is, girl. And I was like, "Don't say that, Kim, because that's your reality. That's not
Yeah,
the culture she's coming from at all. Like, that's not that's not the same option it is for me. Like, that would not necessarily be something that would solve a lot of problems for her. Like, there were so
right.
many other culturally relevant pathways that she was able to identify that worked a lot better for her than me imposing my, like, white American lady version of reality on her, which would have just taken her into a completely, opposite path where she needed to be.
So for me, this kind of falls under the like roughly falls under the umbrella of ethics. We all agree on
Mhm.
what correct behavior is, what incorrect behavior is, and then what is right and wrong. And those things change over time. The track record of history shows that ethics change
Yeah.
drastically. So for you, just in the course of this conversation, I heard you show up to the conversation saying, "I deserve to X, Y, and Z, all under the umbrella of self actualization." And now I'm hearing you say, "That's a cultural thing. I'm not sure that everybody deserves that." How are you changing or refining your way of thinking about this while we've been talking?
Thanks for noticing that. Because I think it did. It got me to think more about like, oh, this is not universal. This is like how I hold it. And I think it's just it's not that it's grounded me, like it's more solidified my position, but having bumped it up against these other ways of being, it
Yeah,
helps me see like, oh, y'all deserve to do it differently if you want to do it differently, and that feels good. And I deserve to be able to do it this way to the extent it doesn't harm conflict in ways that really like block other people from pursuing their individual or collective life that they want to live too.
yeah.
So, like for instance, I um my family going back a couple of generations would never have had two mortgages if one house could fit the whole family. Like why take on a second mortgage if we could all share one mortgage?
Mhm.
And that's changed, and, like, same with cars. Like, why get many cars when we could all just share one? Like, this is we're just coming over from Hungary. This world is we are surviving to the extent we are collected together here, tied. Why spend more money when we don't have it? Like, let's all share. Um, and that is not at all where I am. Um And it's not just because, like, there's economic growth over time, it's because I've been in America for longer. Like, I'm now 2nd generation, like, I have new values, but if I was same person, but your same, like, genetics 3 generations back, I might have a completely different take on, like, where I live, how I connect, how I relate to people, and it would have been okay. So I have a just like a, I don't know, a peaceful coexistence kind of take on it now, but recognizing that there is coexistence.
Can I poke at this?
Oh, yeah.
I want to poke at this. Part of the thing that throws up a red flag for me when somebody says, "I deserve a cupcake," I'm getting the same reaction when you say, "I deserve to hold this opinion," or "I deserve to," like,
Yeah. Uh-huh.
I don't understand why deserving has anything to do with it.
Yeah, I don't
Like,
either.
so, like, what's a belief that you said in terms of, "I don't deserve to get a certain outcome, but I deserve to pursue an outcome."
Like in this example, it'd be I deserve to move out of the house. I deserve to
Yeah,
decide to move out of the house
sure.
rather than live with 3 generations
Yeah.
in one
What is making that choice have anything to do with deserving?
couple generations ago, they would have said, "That's no, that's wrong. That's not what we do. This is why would you do that?" And I would myself right now would say, I get where you're coming from. I also deserve to pursue these things that are true for me. Autonomy, belonging, competence. And the autonomy is coming up right now.
Right. But so I'm gonna keep picking at this, if that's all right.
Mm. Yeah.
The thing I heard you say is a couple of generations ago, I would have been shamed by my
Yeah.
community for doing this thing.
Yeah.
It would have been a nonconformist decision. Now I am pursuing autonomy,
The expense of belonging.
The expense of belonging, sure, but I'm trying to figure out, like, what is the deserving that's there? Like, what makes anybody deserving of pursuing autonomy or not, as opposed to just somebody who has a need for more autonomy and then chooses to pursue more autonomy. Like, the
Shit. Pancho, this is going to get us into like Reddit philosophy on deserve.
like, what I'm hearing is, like, there needs to be a justification for you like, pursuing that autonomy,
Mm.
and you're using that you deserve it as a justification for it. You're validating that need by saying, "I deserve it." But if it's just a need and you wanna pursue it, does it need validated the validation of deserving?
Okay. Let me see if I can. I see what you're saying, and it might just be
Yeah.
like
It could be semantics.
words,
Yeah.
semantics, or just like we might not agree. Um, but this is the children thing. So children don't have necessarily the ability to direct their lives. They are spectrums of dependence on adults in the world to meet their basic functional needs. And I would argue that psychological needs are included in basic functional needs. As we exit that parent child relationship, those needs still need to be met. Who is meeting them? You. You are your own parent. And so in my mind, it's the same. I do think children deserve in a very different way for other people to meet their needs in a way that, like we had just said, you and I both agreed that, like, no, the world doesn't owe you anything. Da, da, da. Like, I believe that's different for kids.
You believe
But I
they are
also,
owed those needs being met.
yeah,
Okay.
yeah. By virtue of existing and being brought into the world, yes, yes. And like, it's like, I will acknowledge it's still culturally created. And yes, I sign on to that cultural creation. It's like a fundamental piece of, I don't know, human. But I don't think that goes away. I just think it's a different person providing that. And when you become an independent adult, you are your own parent providing those needs. And those needs, like, you have the right, you deserve to be able to pursue, fill your belly, slack your thirst, drink something. Um, um, meet your psychological needs. You have the right, you deserve, I'm not sure what the word is. You get to do it in a way that if somebody comes at you for trying to meet your psychological needs, like, that's on them. As long as you're doing it in a way that promotes healthy interdependence, kindness, acknowledging that you're in a system, and all these things. That doesn't necessarily impinge strongly and prevent somebody else from pursuing theirs. I, there's probably like a term paper I need to write on this to really like get my thoughts out because I think through writing.
Yeah.
But there is something pure to me about one's drive to pursue autonomy, belonging, and comfort.
Yeah. Thanks for drawing that out. That I see where you're drawing the connection from, and from kids deserve to be taken care of, essentially, right? They're powerless and they don't have the wherewithal and the means to take care of themselves. So if we're going to bring them into the world, we damn well better take care of them too.
Yeah. Yeah.
And as you get older, there's no one left to take care of you but yourself. But you still deserve to get taken care of in that way. And one definition of deserving, um, and like, it's a heavily philosophical definition, but I think it applies here, is to say someone deserves X is to say that it would be good and just if they got X. And so
Right.
kids
Right.
deserve love, belonging, care, a warm place to sleep. It would be good and just if they got that. And as an adult, it would be good and just if you got the same. So in that sense, I completely agree. And thank you for calling out that that is a social agreement That is something that we all decided should be true. And now we treat it as if it were true, like gravity is true, but it's not actually true in that
That's
way.
right.
But it feels really backwards. You deal with a lot of cognitive dissonance if you hold it up as something that we've all agreed to that is not necessarily true. If you hold
Yeah,
it up
that's
as
right.
like, and it is also true that there are kids in the world who don't get those meats, Ned. those those meats, Ned. Those needs met,
It's great.
right? Um, so that is proof that it's not a law of nature. It's not how the world actually works. It's how we wish it were. Um, there's still a part of me that feels like when you are thinking about, and maybe it does have to do with whether you're doing it from a place that comes loaded with guilt or shame.
Yeah.
If you have to justify to yourself that you are going to meet that need by saying you deserve it. So
Yeah.
I could hear you say, I deserve to pursue more autonomy. And it could be from the place of, from an ethical perspective, it makes sense. It would be good and just if I were to have more autonomy. And so I'm going to go get that autonomy. It could also be from the place of, I carry guilt and shame about pursuing autonomy because I feel like I don't deserve it.
Yeah.
But I'm going to tell myself I deserve it. I feel like I'm not worthy of more autonomy, but I'm going to tell myself I deserve it to sidestep that guilt and shame and that issue that has to do with self-worth to go get it.
Yeah. That's ass backwards.
Saying the same thing, but from a very different place in terms of your worldview and belief systems and
Yeah.
self-perception.
Yeah. It's a tough one because if it is I think we all have like a really complicated relationship with at the same time with I deserve. At the same time, we need to use it to justify meeting basic needs that like the human body, brain, nervous system wants to meet. So we need to like, as you're saying, pull on I deserve to be able to do this. And sort of like stoppy toddler kind of like, I deserve this. It's that kind of like energy. While at the same time, absolutely cringing the concept of I deserve. When other people hear like somebody else say, I deserve to do this. I deserve to get this reward. I deserve to get this promotion. I just, because I worked hard. I hear this all the time from friends, from clients being like, I don't want to be like that. I don't want to be like the person who's just like entitled. So I now don't deserve anything. If I talk about I deserve, then I get. And these are like the same people are saying these things at the same time. And I think we just have a really, really, really collectively confused relationship with this, in part because needs have become shamed in some cases, especially for women, but for a lot of people. And because we have collectively as a society, and like I'll talk about like sort of industrialized nations, tied productivity and working, the Protestant ethic, to outcomes, and you can only rest when. So, God forbid you use the word deserve too early, but by the time you're tired and you have a need, then you're going to be like, I deserve it because I worked hard, like the Protestants told me
Right.
to.
Yeah.
So, so it just, I think what, to bring it back to the beginning of the episode, the thing I can't unsee is that when we heal this cognitive dissonance of these two versions, these two relationships to I deserve, you you just you end up pursuing what matters to you, what makes you feel good, without the complications of hiding a need behind I deserve.
I think it's, it gets you to the point where you have a more honest understanding of what your needs are
Yeah.
and a more graceful approach to meeting them without having to do mental gymnastics to get there. while also recognizing there are things you want that you don't need, or
Mhm.
there are things that you would have liked to get, but they're not owed to you. Even if you did all the work and, coming back to the Olympian example, like, you might have done all the work to get yourself to the Olympics, and you might be deserving of an Olympic gold medal, but there are 10 other people there competing who did the same amount of work and are just as deserving of that
Yeah.
Olympic gold medal, and on the day, they get the medal and you don't. Did you deserve that medal if you'd got like, would you have deserved that medal if you'd gotten it? Yes. Did you get the medal? No. Does anybody owe you that medal? No. So yeah, it's like those two dynamics, the entitlement and then the I am uncomfortable with being somebody who has needs and I have to do this weird thing to then get them met. And I've taken too long to meet them. I've been neglecting myself in some very important sense and it's gone too far. And so now I'm going to meet them, but I still feel bad about it. But I'm going to say I deserve it so that I actually get it done. Yeah, feels like a lot.
Yeah. This comes back to Kim's grand theory that most of what's wrong with the world is driven by unprocessed grief. But I feel like, um, but truly in this example, like there's when you work hard for something that feels promised to you, even if it like sort of sometimes explicitly is and you don't get it, there's huge normal amounts of loss there that it's really uncomfortable to feel and not in a cute way, not in a like, I don't like to feel uncomfortable, but in a like, my existence is threatened. It's so uncomfortable. Like
Yeah.
I I'm going to implode from the psychological pain of this loss, of
Yeah.
this like the bride left at the altar kind of feeling of like, how fucking dare you? And this is an opportunity for leaning into the dreaded emotional experience that we are avoiding when we pull on I deserve or the bitterness, the resentment that comes from thinking like that person got it, but I deserved it. What are we avoiding? We're avoiding grief. The grief of like,
Totally.
that thing sucked. It
Yeah.
sucked. Feel some tear.
Yeah. I just had a like massive light bulb moment as you were saying
Yeah.
that
I love those.
in both cases. In the case of I deserved something and I didn't get it, and I'm bypassing grief and going to entitlement, I am not willing to sit with the pain of not having gotten something that I was heavily invested in and valued. So instead of sitting with that pain and recognizing that there's something I've lost that I
Hmm.
valued,
Yeah.
I'm going to go to entitlement and indignation.
Protective.
The
Yeah.
Totally the way to
Mm.
address grief. And I would say like the painful part of like grief isn't even the grief itself. Like that's just kind of the thing that happens when you lose something you value. It's the arguing with reality of already having lost it that is really painful. But the way that you resolve grief is one, you take a time out, you hit pause and you go process the grief. So you have to recognize that like it won't take care of itself if you just go on about with life as if that hadn't happened. And two, you do it in community. Like you need, like
Mm.
the emotion of
You do.
grief requires comfort. It requires support. Grief is an emotion that says, I need help. I don't think I can get through this on my own. And so you have to go and connect with people who are there to give you, and even if you can't find a person, like hug a teddy bear. Just the act of knowing I need some external source of comfort will begin to help you process the grief. So that needs other people. That needs community. The other one, shame and guilt. Those are emotions that come as a signal that there's been a rupture in your social system.
Mm.
Like shame and guilt are I did not conform to something and I'm now outcast in some way.
Something that
So
threatens my belonging in the group.
exactly. Yeah,
Yeah, yeah, yeah.
totally. If I really just like address my own needs, will people think I don't love them? Because instead of meeting their needs all the time, I am now taking a stand for my own needs being met. Will I fall out of love and belonging with those people? But what that also calls for is you gotta go repair your relationships. And maybe it starts with repairing your relationship with yourself and your understanding of how your needs are met and when they can be met and how to meet them. But then you have to go do that work with other people and say, hey, here are my needs. Can you meet them? So that also requires you to go out
Oh, oh,
and develop
yeah.
those relationships and be in connection with other people. So both
I'm
sides of
telling
that,
you,
like both things require to like
the
go
people.
lean on those relationships. Yeah.
Yeah, I mean, this in burnout land, the loneliest people are also the most hyper independent people, and they're also the most burnt out. Like there is the center of hyper independence, loneliness, and burnout are like my clients, you know, because there's so much that if we don't have a healthy relationship to I deserve, we don't pursue support. And then we get into the cycle of taking on too much, feeling really lonely, feeling like I deserve, and just you just walk back, and all of a sudden you're like, I am overwhelmed, functional freeze, can't. In part because it's really uncomfortable to be vulnerable and say, I need help here. Can anybody help me? I had a friend write an email to a group of like 25 people, and the subject line was, help me retreat. She, just lost her job, and she's like, I don't have money. I just need to like relax. Does anybody have something I can like retreat in for a couple days? And a bunch of people said, yeah, come. Da, da, da. And
Love
that's
that.
the beauty of, I know, that's the beauty of feeling the relationship with yourself, the self confidence, the like, I deserve to pursue these things. And like, well, maybe whatever language we use, but to say, like, I have this need, I'm going to identify it, and I'm going to go ask for specific help. It's really uncomfortable for me to be like, I don't have money. I'm unemployed. I need a fucking break. Does anybody want to give me a break in their nice place alone? you know? So, I mean, it feels, in terms of just as we wrap this up and thinking about how do we make this real and practical for people, experience, understanding what emotional experience we are avoiding when we have challenging, complex relationships with I deserve. Are we avoiding what it feels like to be vulnerable and ask for help and have people judge us or disappoint us or internally judge us for saying like I need this support? Are we avoiding the just really normal fact of like I didn't get something I really wanted and you're just lost there? Are we avoiding the grief?
Yeah.
What is the emotional experience we're avoiding by having this complicated relationship with Zurich, whether it's jumping on it too quickly or avoiding it entirely?
Yeah. Yeah.
That's mine. What about you?
Yeah. No, I agree with everything you said. Um, Thinking about the example with, somebody asking for the retreat, you could say, I don't have money. I'm exhausted. I would like to go rest. Does somebody have somewhere where I can go rest and have a retreat? I need this rest. That's one way of saying it. I have a need. I need this rest. Can somebody help me with that? There's the added layer of I'm exhausted. I don't have money. I need somewhere to rest. I deserve to have a place to rest. Can somebody help me
Mm,
meet this need?
mm,
And I think if I'm understanding our two stances well, I align more with the first one.
hmm
Recognize what your needs are and then ask for them to be met. What I'm hearing you say is from the place of kids deserve all of these needs to be met, they deserve to be cared for. Along that that line of thinking, you align with I deserve this retreat. I deserve a place to go rest. No. Okay. Say more.
I deserve to pursue.
You deserve to
Seeking
ask people for the place to go rest.
Yeah.
Okay,
There's
thanks
nothing
for the
wrong with
nuance.
asking.
Yeah,
Yeah.
yeah.
I think
Okay,
it's a big nuance though, because it's I deserve a place to rest is the like I deserve a just and fair world.
sure,
But I deserve to be able to pursue getting that because I need it. There's
right.
nothing wrong with identifying the need. There's nothing wrong with asking. There's nothing wrong
Yeah,
with being rejected in the need. It doesn't change your inherent worth, but you deserve
right.
to pursue.
I'm still thinking about it as in the asking is also something that we don't all get to do. And so if we don't all get to ask, like we don't all get the place to go rest, we don't all also get to ask for the place to go rest. Sometimes there's nobody to ask or there's no way to actually reasonably pursue it. Um, and I'm not sure that's a half-baked reflection, but there's something there in it for me. I guess the takeaway on that is there's more thinking to be done about this. the the thing that I would say, and this is an exercise that I haven't done much with clients, but when it comes to somebody who has a hard time understanding what their needs are or meeting their needs, it's just as powerful as doing personal values work, is clearly outlining what your needs are. And then of those needs in your life, which ones are being met regularly, which ones are being met but sporadically or intermittently, and then which ones are largely not being met.
Yeah.
And if you have that list, then you can start to figure out, okay, well, what is a need that feels like it's one that doesn't feel as dangerous to try to meet? So to start running small experiments in meeting your needs, in developing a more healthy relationship with getting rest, getting love, getting alone time, whatever it is. Um, but first you got to get clear on what those are.
Yeah.
And and then yeah, try something that doesn't feel too dangerous, that doesn't have a big risk consequence dynamic to it, and notice what that's like.
I have a question for you that I would normally ask in our post show. How do you think that went? Conversation.
Yeah.
Which is like I'm stuck on this. Is it really semantics that is different from us, or is it something else? Like those needs. You list like what's being met, what's sort of being met, what's not being met. And if someone's like, okay, this thing isn't being met and I care about it a lot and it's low risk, I'm going to pursue it, getting it met.
Yeah.
What's your relationship to why they get to do that?
It's not because they deserve to.
Yeah, what's your word of what is it?
Yeah. It's either they do or they don't. There's no deserving involved. It's either they can or they can't, and if they can, they do or they don't. Like deserving the dynamic in your life in which you can pursue a certain outcome feels nonsensical to me. Like
So
either that dynamic is present in your life and you can pursue that thing, or that dynamic is not present in your life and it's unavailable to you. And then if it's there, you get to choose whether you pursue it or not. But you didn't do anything to deserve that choice.
why do
The
you get
choice
to
is just
choose?
there.
Why do you get to exercise the choice?
Why do you get to exercise any choice?
Why do you get to, yeah, why?
Yeah.
Because you exist.
Yeah, like it's almost saying like it feels like a tautology. Like
Yeah.
saying like it's like conflating existence with deserving. We are by nature beings
Mhm.
that choose.
Mhm,
Either
mhm, mhm,
and
mhm.
so or if you want to like get really weird and go down the path of we don't have free will, you could even just say we are by nature beings that feel as if we are choosing, even though free will isn't actually something that's real. But regardless of which stance you want to take on that, it feels as if we're choosing, and it doesn't feel as if we do anything to deserve being a choosing being.
Mm.
Like we come out packaged that way. So to say
Oh, okay. I get it. I get it.
I deserve the choice to pursue a certain outcome, to pursue more autonomy. It's like, well, you are either in a place in your life where you can pursue more autonomy or you can't. And if you can, then that choice is available to you at all times. And not engaging with that choice is a choice in and of itself. So that's kind of the other, like, that rounds it out, right? Like you could be in you you could be in denial about whether you have that choice or not, but you're still making a choice. So I
I
don't,
get
in
it.
my mind, I don't see where the deserving has a part in any of that.
Yeah. So I'm coming at this saying, like, you deserve to be able to make your own choices about how you run your life. And you're coming at it and saying you make choices about how you run your own life because you
Yeah,
exist.
exactly. Look, because that's just what a human being is a choosing thing. It's a thing that chooses.
Well, this is
And
fascinating.
it never has to do anything to deserve that. It's like having a heart that beats and keeps you alive. You never did anything to deserve your heart that beats and keeps you alive. And you don't have to do anything to like maintain that as a dynamic of who you are. It just is. You don't have to do anything to deserve being somebody who chooses to pursue something. You just choose to pursue it or not.
And so if you're choosing to do something that like pisses somebody off, but like is ultimately you're like, no, this lines up with my values. Like, I'm pretty sure about this one. I'm going to do it. For you, if not like you deserve to get to do that, it's you chose something. It's like descriptive. You chose something that aligns with your values.
Yeah, and there may be a social dynamic to that choice.
Yeah.
But the moment that you introduce a social dynamic to that choice, that's when you're getting into the territory of like, do I feel shame or guilt about choosing this? And then you say, I deserve to do that. But the deserving isn't a part of the choice. The deserving is a part of how you feel about having made that choice in regard to other people and your obligations to them or their opinions of you.
There really is no deserve then in your world.
The only deserve that makes sense in my world is that is like, oh yeah, that's relatively sensical, is you tried really hard to get something and you got it.
Yeah. Like
Yeah.
that feels earned. That gold
Yeah,
feels earned.
it it makes sense. It matches, you put in the work, you made the hard choices, and then you got the outcome. That's an outcome you deserve. Um the but but it's almost like saying that you deserve it is more about the effort.
Mm,
Whereas like
yeah.
having inherent rights or being a human being that automatically just chooses because that's part of the experience of being a human being, deserving doesn't come into that. It's just almost like, well, either you get those needs met, you call them rights, they're needs. Sometimes you get them met, sometimes you don't,
Hmm.
depending on how fortunate you are and whether you won the birth lottery.
Hmm.
And then on the whether you choose to do something for yourself or not, you actually have options or you don't. And if you have the options, you choose them. And if you choose something that makes it uncomfortable from a social dynamic, then it's easy to go in the direction of saying, I deserve to do this for myself, even though it's going to cause social friction. But that doesn't feel like deserving to me. That feels like using deserving in a diluted way that's similar to I deserve the cupcake. It comes
Cool.
with guilt and shame. Yeah.
I'm glad we did our post show on the show.
Yeah.
This is fascinating. Cool. All right. Is there anything that we haven't said that needs to be said?
Yeah. I think we went really deep here. But like the big takeaway is, at least for me, is what's your relationship with your needs?
Yeah. Yeah.
Yeah, like what's
Same.
your relationship with your needs? And then what's your relationship with the dynamic between effort and outcome? And recognizing, and you might put in the effort sometimes and you don't get the outcome, and grief will show up. And that's how the world works. There's actually nothing wrong or broken about that. That's how things are. You can expect that to happen in your life.
I'm just thinking about the like thing that is not said yet for me is, oh man, I can't tell you how many times I've like held a crying child who is upset about something somebody said to them that was mean and been like, you didn't deserve that. And now I'm like, I wonder what I mean by that.
I mean, that
I just
kind of
think
makes
about that
sense.
somewhere.
Like, you didn't do any, like, the way that you have been as a child, it is not good and just that somebody said this to you. Like, it's not an
Yeah.
outcome that follows, right? Like, coming back to children and being in defense of
Hmm.
children, they're wild and rambunctious and uncontrolled and unaware of themselves, and that is how they, but they're also full of joy and wonder and chaos.
Hmm.
Um,
Hmm.
if and if somebody says a mean thing to them, they didn't have that coming, like that wasn't
Mm.
a natural outcome of the way that they've lived their life and the 7 years they've gotten on this planet. So that makes sense. Like, it's not just it doesn't match. It's a
Mm.
yeah. At least that's my first reaction to it. But there's also like a much deeper emotional, like, this feels wrong kind of dynamic to it.
Mhm.
Yeah.
Mm.
Yeah.
It's complex.
Mm,
This was fun.
yeah. Yeah.
Thanks for the conversation and going
Thanks
deep.
for asking the post show question mid show here before we hit stop recording.
All right,
Okay.
it's time.
Right.
All right. Good night.